Competition is a contest between individuals, or in this case, businesses, to offer the most favorable terms to consumers. Competition is a good thing. It leads to better technology, products, and a wider selection of these products or services. Competition isn't always a good thing, though. Sometimes it can hurt one of the products or end up replacing it altogether. Number 1. The ballpoint pen and the fountain pen. The fountain pen was the improved version of the old quill and ink jar. The fountain pen consisted of a metal nib, which was the part that came in contact with the writing surface. It also contained an internal reservoir of water-based ink. From that reservoir, the ink is fed through the center of the pen to the nib at the top using gravity and capillary action. The fountain pen was a great improvement from the quill and ink jar and even the dip pen, but it still had problems. Fountain pens had a chance of leaking or clogging and weren't always reliable. Sometimes you had to hold the pen upright exactly or the ink wouldn't come out. Fountain pens were also limited to writing on certain surfaces. The nibs on fountain pens were also very sharp, and if you weren't careful, you could tear right through the page you were writing on. The first ballpoint pen was made in an attempt to write on leather, first created by John Loud. It had the desired effect, but the writing was illegible, so it was never marketed. After years of different patents and new creators, the ballpoint pen was finally marketed to the world. It had several new improvements that overshadowed the fountain pen. The first change was that the pen no longer required a nib. Instead, it was replaced with a tiny ball in the tip of the pen that was free to turn in the socket. As the pen moved along paper, the tiny ball would pick up ink from the ink cartridge inside and distribute it onto the paper. To avoid ink flow problems, the ballpoint pen uses capillary action along with a piston that pressurizes the ink cartridge, so ink would flow at almost any angle now. As of right now, I couldn't possibly imagine anything hurting the ballpoint pen. The technology is simple yet difficult to perfect any more than it already has been. I believe ballpoint pens will have little competition still for years to come. Number 2. Contacts and glasses. Contacts are hurting glasses in today's society. Contacts can do most of what glasses can do, and in some cases are even better. They are worn right on the eye, so they feel more natural. The weight and distraction of the frame on glasses are removed from the equation when you wear contacts. Glasses are susceptible to changes in the temperature, which can cause them to fog up. Contacts, on the other hand, are immune to the changes in temperature and don't fog. Contacts can also change your eye color to brighten your original color or change it completely. People pertaining to the youth market all the way to the family formation market are very fashion conscious. They like to match their clothes, shoes, and skin tone. Therefore, they'd want their glasses framed to do the same. With contacts, consumers don't have to worry about matching because they blend right in. In the end, contacts can do everything glasses can do, even correct vision problems such as astigmatism. There are a few vision problems that only glasses can solve, but that is the rare occasion that glasses can one-up contacts. Contacts are providing heavy competition for glasses because they can do most of what glasses do and they can perform them subtly. I feel that once laser eye surgery is performed more and offered to the public at a cheaper price, that it will provide competition for both contacts and glasses. If you can completely fix your eyesight, the demand for contacts and glasses falls because they are no longer needed. Number 3. Compact cassette, the 8-track tape, and the CD. The music industry is always changing, and the same goes for the format music is produced on. During the early 1960s, towards the middle of the 70s, music was recorded on magnetic tape that was housed in a metal cartridge to eliminate the manual handling of the tape. This was known as an 8-track tape. The tapes ranged from 15 to 40 minutes long, and each track was the same length of time. For example, 4 tracks were each 10 minutes long. The 8-track was well received by consumers because it was convenient and portable. By 1967, Ford offered the option of having an 8-track player built into all of their cars because of how popular the tapes had become. Despite all the popularity, the format did have many problems. This included a tendency to jam as the tape got dirty, the lubricant on the tape wore off, and the tape was exposed to heat. To combat these problems, the compact cassette was improved to match and even better the quality of the 8-track. Previously, the compact cassette had mediocre quality and was used primarily for voice recording. In the early 70s, the cassette was being constantly improved, and soon it surpassed the 8-track and became a popular alternative to the 12-inch vinyl records as well. Cassettes became very popular because of their durability, portability, and convenience. They could be used at home in stereos, in the car while driving, or anywhere with the introduction of the Sony Walkman. The machine was a little larger than the cassette itself, so it was the perfect size for a pocket or to place in a bag. Again, like most products, the compact cassette had flaws. The speed of the tape could vary between playback devices, resulting in the pitch being too high or too low. Another problem was that sometimes a player could damage the tape, winding several feet into the actual device. To try and fix these problems, the compact disc or CD was created. During the late 70s, companies such as Philips and Sony helped develop the CD into what it is today. The CD was praised by consumers for an increased ease of handling, portability, and quality. The CD started replacing the cassette in cars, portable devices, and was produced alongside the cassette in home stereos. CD players were larger than cassette players, but were still very portable and well received by consumers. CDs could also hold more songs than cassettes, averaging around 80 minutes per CD. Already the CD has been replaced by MP3 players that are smaller, much more portable, and can hold thousands of songs compared to the max 20 a CD can hold. I'm not sure what product will surpass the MP3, but it will most likely be smaller and will hold many, many more songs. Number 4. Plastic football helmets and leather helmets. The game of football has been around since the late 1890s, but it wasn't until the 1920s that protective gear started to be used. Even then, protection was little to none with small amounts of padding and leather helmets. Football is a sport most known for causing head injuries, such as concussions from the roughness the game entails. Although the leather helmets were better than no helmets at all, they still had many flaws. 1. The helmet barely protected the player from a full contact hit because there was little to no padding. 2. There was no face mask on the leather helmet, leaving the player's face exposed to various injuries. Too many players were being hurt this way, and finally, the Riddle Company from Chicago, Illinois, started manufacturing helmets made from plastic. This proved to be much more effective because the helmet kept its shape when something made contact with it. It was also more comfortable to wear and had more padding to cushion the head. By 1955, face masks were added to the plastic helmet, preventing broken teeth and noses. At this point in time, I can't think of a product that will replace the plastic football helmet. Right now, there isn't a material that could provide more safety for the players' heads other than plastic with padding inside. Number 5. Email and the Postal Service. The Postal Service has been used for centuries in all countries around the world. Back then, it was the only way to talk to someone without them being right in front of you. Technology evolved, and by the early 70s, email was in its beginning stages. The Postal Service served the world well for hundreds of years, but as technology improved, the need for mail carriers declined. The Postal Service has been referred to as snail mail because sending mail across the world could take days to weeks. There was also the chance of your letter or package getting lost in the vast amounts of others. When email was created and improved to what it is today, it completely blew the Postal Service out of the water. Instantly, you could send a message to your friend who was halfway across the world, and they'd receive it in seconds. Email is also free, not requiring you to pay for a stamp to send it. Another benefit to email was that there was less a chance of it getting lost. In fact, it's a rare occurrence for an email to get lost, unlike the hundreds lost or mixed up in the Postal Service. Email almost completely replaced the Postal Service since it could do everything and do it better and faster. Luckily, the Postal Service was able to bounce back though. Once online shopping was introduced, the Postal Service found themselves busy delivering various packages and boxes all over the world. Emails are great for sending messages, but the Postal Service can still do one thing email can't: deliver products. So instead of email replacing the Postal Service, they work side by side now with healthy competition. Email takes care of the messages, and the Postal Service handles the packages. At this point in time, I can't think of anything that could hurt or replace the email. There's no way in today's technology to make something simpler or faster than what the email has already accomplished. So there you have it. Competition can be a good thing, improving products and services like the email and mail. But it can also hurt companies like ones who develop the 8-track tape. In the end, competition is always good on the consumer end, but not always on the manufacturers.